Alright, what's up, guys? Yes, I'm in my car again, and you might hear some rain sounds. It's raining. But again, the moment struck me. I gotta get it out while it's on my mind. There may be a couple distractions, people driving by, whatever, but I don't have much time, so let's get to this. So, the problem I see with most videos that discuss the differences between types is they require you to have some level of understanding of typology or a deep understanding of the functions already, the cognitive functions, to understand what they're saying or understand. I mean, part of the question is like, why do you care what type you are? I mean, if you're like me, you want to know what type you are so you can, well, first of all, it helps you to understand the cognitive functions better because you can relate by experience, and also it can help you kind of know what career you want to be in, lots of stuff like that. So let's get to the intuitive explanation. An INTP versus an INFP. A way you can understand that you're an INTP as opposed to an INFP is that as an INTP, here's what I do. I'm constantly looking back at my past experiences. Like, let's say I read a book, I gathered some ideas in the past about something I know. Like, let's say I know about chemistry, neuroscience. I know what my friend Susie did back in 5th grade. I know what my friend John did in 8th grade, blah, 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 blah. And I'm looking back at all of these past experiences, okay? And I am using those to extrapolate new possibilities in the future. But I'm doing this in a very specific way. See, distractions. I'm doing this in a very specific way. An INTP does this in a way where they take all of these ideas and they look for patterns between them, and they use these patterns to try to determine what's true. So they're looking for a common theme amongst all these patterns. So it's like, oh, well, if my friend Susie did this in 8th grade or 5th grade, but this chemistry fact exists, there's an inconsistency here. I'm looking for a consistency between these two things. And I would say this style of thinking is me to a T. This is what I do like 24/7, and that is what the INTP is on a very fundamental level. That's what an INTP does. And so do ENTPs, ISFJs, and ESFJs, because they're all generally in the same vein. Okay? Now, let's flip the script now. And so, okay, now look at an INFP. What is an INFP doing as opposed to an INTP? Well, the INFP, they also look back at their past experiences and try to extrapolate to the future. But instead of trying to be like, well, my friend Susie back in 8th grade did this, and this chemistry fact says this, therefore this can't be true. Instead, it's more like this is hard for me to describe as an INTP because I'm not an INFP. In fact, it's kind of like people who are really, because it's kind of like me trying to describe something I'm really weak at. But I believe with enough understanding, I can explain it. In fact, better perhaps than anyone else. Look at it like this. So, yes, both types look at their past experiences and extrapolate to the future. The difference is the INFP is not looking for consistency between, oh, Susie did this and this chemistry fact. Instead, what they're doing is they are looking at, well, it feels like this to me. It's almost like a gut feeling. It's almost unconscious what they're doing. It's the best way I know how to describe it with my current level of understanding of the function introverted feeling. It's like they're looking, well, the logical, not the way we define it is moral consistency. So it's like, well, I have a good way I could potentially put it. When Susie did this in 5th grade, it made me feel this way. I got this sense about it. I got this gut feeling about it. And if this chemistry fact says this, and Susie did this in 5th grade, well, this chemistry fact that I heard makes me, something doesn't seem right about that. And so I'm going to reject that because just from personal experience, I saw Susie do this, and why would I care about this fact if Susie blah, 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 right? In fact, this is why INFPs, they naturally do this. That's kind of their mode of thinking. Like, well, this is my experience. This is how I felt about it. And how could this fact or idea be true? Why does this person say that? It's not matching up with my experience. and how that made me feel. It's something like that, which is, as opposed to the INTP, which actually ignores that. I mean, not ignore is a strong word, but what the INTP does is, like I said, we just look at well, if this is true and that is true, there's something going on there. And what I try to do always as an INTP is look for, well, maybe there's something to this. What can I pull out of these to come to a higher truth? And that's kind of the gist of it. And so I hope that helped you kind of understand on an intuitive level the difference between an INTP and an INFP, or on a more fundamental level, the difference between the NFPs, STJs, so that those groupings, NFP, STJ, and then NTP, SFJ. And they're all different permutations depending on the types. And this is kind of what I want to get across, is that there are fundamental patterns to what it means to be a certain type. And that's really what you need to understand. That's kind of the root of what we're trying to get at here. Cool. See ya.